Yeah, I think many years ago, before the MRI machines were made and the X-ray machines were made, you had more horsemen, and they just bought the horse there that was stood in front of them, and a handshake also meant a handshake. There was none of this, 30-day return. If you bought the horse and it was lame 5 days later, well, a lot's happened in 5 days, and I think now everybody gets so absorbed by, does it have good X-rays, does it have this, does it have that. I know for a fact there's a horse shortlisted for the Olympics and it's got cysts on the pedal bone and this, that and the other. It's never affected that horse in its whole life, and it's...
I think we've all seen that post on Facebook that's like all of the stamps in the horse that's been all over the world competing, and they were like, we bought this horse with terrible X-rays. Don't buy the X-rays, buy the horse.
But I mean, all the ones I've bought with really, a lot of getting shouted at, sometimes not even telling him because I'm the daughter of a vet, have been absolutely horrific medically. But they've gone on and done the job because they probably fail a vetting, but they will do what I want to do.
And that's the thing, how lame is too lame. And I know that's not the right thing to say as a sales and sport horse agent, but there's horses that one vet will fail one day and pass the next day, and it's like, well, where is the grey area of is it lame, isn't it lame? Because I'm not a vet.
And it's all opinion, because one vet, when we've seen it, one vet will pass a horse, and then another vet will say it won't, and then another one will pass it. It's opinion, isn't it? They've got guidelines, but it's opinion. And some of them are so scared of being sued, which we'll obviously talk to the vets about when we get them on, that they have to be overcautious to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
And I think now good horses are failed because vets don't want lawsuits. And I think that is crippling the industry massively.
Well, how many horses will actually... I mean, my dad says you can fail every horse if you want to.
The soundest horse in the world, if you look hard enough, you'll start to make it lame in your in your own mind. So actually,
Oh, it's got a lump or a bump or something in there that's...
I always wonder how many elite sportsmen you could sit cross-legged on the floor for 10 minutes and be like, right, now get up and run. And they'd all get up and run without a limp.
Well, you can it is fact, you can make any horse lame on a flexion test. If you know what you're doing. So... in reverse. But we're focusing on health. But the biggest thing for me is... And I've done it, you buy a horse and it's got a fantastic record, you take it to the show, it's not very happy because it's moved house, it's on a different diet, it's got a different training regime, it's got a different rider. They are animals.
I think we've said this before, that if you want to buy a horse that's predictable, buy a wooden one.
Yes.
Ooh.
Because
I like that.
I
get that in the barn.
Turn around now if you want a predictable horse.
Because they're living creatures. Like, if you want a bike, buy a bike. Like a bike, you can put it in a shed and forget about it for however long, keep it in the rain and in the cold and in a different environment, and the bike is still the bike. A living animal is completely different, isn't it? And they are susceptible to stress and to strain and to emotional stress as well as physical stress.
They can miss Louie if they've been his mate for 6 months. Like, they actually do get attached to humans.
And the thing is as well, I can't guarantee performance, and that's what a lot of people get caught up on. Yes, it jumped fantastic for me, but back to the bike, that one bike could win the Tour de France with a professional, and I might fall off it trying to go up the lane, but it's still the same bike.
That's a really, really good point. And a bike is far more predictable than a horse.
It's still the same bike, but with two different riders, and that's the thing. When I buy, if I buy a horse, I accept the horse for what I've bought. If an amateur buys the horse, they go, it must be the horse's fault. Because I fed him his naff chaff and I've had his blanket on.
Other feed providers are of it.
Other feed allegedly. And I think people get caught up in one routine that worked for their old horse that they just had put down. They've bought a new one, and now the same situation doesn't work. And we're massively overbreeding horses with a lot of blood, a lot of quality, and that you see it time and time again. They bought the Rolls Royce, but they really needed the KA, and it's that.
But you say that, don't you, when you come to mine? Like, the last time you came, you checked them all. Like, Dolly's like amazingly well bred, but she just looks like everything's going to break on her. And then you go and check TC, and I'm not going to offend Hannah because I don't recall how he's bred, but he's a bit old fashioned, isn't he? And you're like, oh, nothing wrong with him. He's 20 and he's hard as nails.
But so this is another thing. If you look at more historic breeding, we didn't have, so look, even 15, 20 years ago, you didn't have this ludicrous kick away back end. You didn't have the hypermobility through the horse's spine. We didn't have all of the mobility that we bred into these horses.
Because we just got over fences, we didn't need to flash over them.
Yeah, exactly. So we've bred in all of this hypermobility to give this great big elastic trot, to give this great big kick away back end.
Yeah.
Like
super tight.
knees round their chin, stuff like this. So certainly I've noticed working on them, like the residual level of hypermobility in these horses is higher. And so then we can tie it, like you can start going, okay, well look, you know, when back in the day we used to work horses, you'd have 6 weeks, 8 weeks of just walking on roads. How many people would feel safe to go walking a horse on a road now? So horses aren't.
Well, people should pass at 10 mile an hour and how many metres away.
Yeah, you should.
But how many people actually do?
Exactly. And so we don't have a safe enough environment to be doing the road work, the old straight line work. Everyone's a bit more impatient.
And circuses make horses lame.
Exactly. So you've got a hypermobile horse that hasn't been taught to walk in a straight line, let alone now we're asking it to walk in a circle.
Yeah.
And I say this to people all the time, if your horse can't walk straight, how are you expecting it to walk in a circle balanced?
Well, that's the same as if a horse can't canter around the school, how are you going to jump around? There's a lot of horses that can't canter around the school nicely that are out jumping.
So I think it is that there's certainly been a shift in the environment for all of us. Whilst we are talking about a bit of a shift, I'm just going to shift the conversation. Any particular career highlights you want to touch on?
I think I've never won anything big or fantastic, but I've had a lot of nice results with lovely horses, and that's...
And he's been to Burley.
Yeah,
not many people can say that.
Yeah. Show jump and events and now Louie.
And part-time dressage rider.
There we go.
But I think definitely a highlight was winning the German licensing of young stallions with a horse that I had broken and produced, and being the first English rider to do something like that, because historically Germany is very pro-Germans and lesser English, and so I think that was I did a good job moment, because I got reward. The reward was the result for the horse, but actually it was also a result for me, because it was me that put the work in and got there, and the odds were biasly, allegedly, against me. So I think that was definitely something. And for me, it's small things like when I sell a really nice horse that I've produced to a top rider and it's gone on to do fantastic things. That for me is a result.
Well, even talking about that stallion, and it's gone on and it's doing well.
Yeah.
It's like it was the right result because it's going on to do well.
Exactly. And I sold one last year that's just been bought by a 5-star rider, and that will go on to do great things. And it's like, well, I chose that out of 30 horse lineup, and I chose the right one, and that for me is more of a result than winning a big class or something like that. That's how I base my business structure and my personal wins as well. It's not what I win on the day, it's about the overall, how have I developed that horse and how's it gone on to
that's a longer term achievement for you as well. It's not a quick fix if I've just won something on one day.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I suppose would, I do keep thinking about what you're saying about representing the horse to the best of your knowledge. There is absolutely no business sense in misrepresenting a horse, because that horse is taking your name with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you of course you're going to want to represent it and be as fair to the horse and to the potential buyers, because that's your business name.
Yeah.
That's your reputation going forward.
And I've been there, and I've had the stable of 20 horses and show and doing this and doing that. But actually I just felt a bit out of touch, and it wasn't ethically and who I was, and now when you come you go, well, why is there only like 6 horses? Because at that moment in time I can only find 6 horses that I want to stand behind and produce and say, these are horses that I think are going to go and do X, Y, or Z.
And you enjoy doing those horses.
Doing those horses, because I find this job is hard enough. Don't make it any harder for yourself than it needs to be, and I think that's something that anyone can take that wants to start doing this.
Talking of hardships,
challenges, you think?
Yeah, in your time in equestrian business, have you come across any particular challenges, and how have you found to get over them?
I think finding loyal owners, if you're not from, a super wealthy background and you haven't got that initial startup fund, like I come back from Germany with 3 horses and £1,000 in the bank, and that was, I had to make money from day one and it was just after COVID, like there was no business strategy to it. It was like, I'm coming back from Germany, I've got 3 horses and £1,000 to do this with. I've got to start.
Anyone got a feel?
Yeah, literally. I've got to start earning money because I've got bills to pay at the end of this month, And I think just be very aware of what you're getting yourself into, and plan. I think is the best advice. Get loyal owners that you enjoy to work with and have around. I've had numerous owners, but I can hand on heart say the couple that I have now, they're like they're extended family now. You work together so closely on that business relationship, and you can trust them, and you know where you're at with them, and they're happy with what you do and how you present their horses. And I think that's so important. Have a team around you, and it's so cliche, have a team you can trust, but it is so important.
I think for owners as well, it's nice because you can send your horse away anywhere and you don't really know what anyone's doing with it, so that closeness and that trust is nice for them as well.
Exactly. And it's like none of my owners apart from one are UK based, so it's like I've got a horse at the moment who's owned by a loyal owner, and Jen was treating it the other day and we found a little hiccup, and I called them and we all 3 of us had this big open conversation, and I think
I sent some diagrams.
Ah, yes, you did get some
diagrams. Hit up Equigate if you haven't already.
They've got the best diagrams.
Don't get me started on my diagrams.
And I think that's also so nice for the owners because everything's open book. There's no smoke mirrors and just result videos, and I send them a picture of the horse in the cross ties just randomly,
enjoying its life as well.
Enjoying its life, a video of it in the paddock. And I think people that, because when I feel sometimes even bad when you send out an invoice at the end of the month, you think, for someone that, that's a part of someone's income. That's, that's
it's a house, isn't it, to a lot of people?
Yeah, that's my living, but that's a portion of some people's income every month. You think they've got to have some enjoyment of that money going out.
That's really refreshing to hear, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. I mean, any views or advice for new people, sort of young people getting into the industry? A lot of people, I think, see it as more glamorous than it is, particularly people at colleges and things like that.
Definitely, and I think like Marcus Enning did an interview with World of Show Jumping the other day, and he touched base on this. The show jumping world and industry, it's gone very high glamour, very Instagrammy, posy. You go to the global tours and you sip champagne in the most glamorous locations. But
do that. Yeah. Add that to the list for the next podcast.
Director approves.
Yeah. We'll go to Riyadh to watch the final.
Let's go.
Expenses.
You can afford to compete in a lot of these amateurs, because I used to do those amateur internationals, but they're ridiculously expensive now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think don't be disheartened when you can't fit that lifestyle. These, I go to Sunshine Tour a lot, and it's expensive, and be very aware and very woke of the industry that you're getting into, and also how you fit into that industry. Because before I moved to Germany, I worked for a rider, and he was basically like, oh, you shouldn't ride, you're not good enough, you should probably find another career choice. And I actually gave up riding, and I sat at home for 6 months, and I was like, but there's I give up riding, and I was like, but there's nothing more than I'd like to do than ride. But maybe he meant I didn't have the quality to be a 160, international, like top rider that's chasing the sport. But actually that didn't fit into what I wanted to do either. I had this passion for producing young horses and, and the selling. And I think what a lot of young people don't do is identify their role that they have in the industry. They either go, I'm going to go and work really hard and be a 2nd, 3rd, 4th or 5th rider for somebody, and ride all these horrendous horses
that are
booking me off and this, that and the other. And actually, all they crave is to go to the show and be at the party. Well, actually, you can do that whether you sell surfaces, whether you sell horse walking. You don't have to be a rider or a groom.
And then you've got the money to go and have one nice horse yourself that you can
exactly.
enjoy.
You don't have to be a rider or a groom to enjoy this lifestyle. And I think that is what a lot of people get lost in,
Yeah, I mean, I say that to a lot of young people that want to go and be a groom and work at big yards and, you know, get a 9-to-5 job and enjoy your horse, because you're not going to survive this industry, because you've got to be quite hard, haven't you?
You've got to be tough.
Our director worked at racing yards for a long time. You've got to be pretty hard, haven't you?
It's tough. 7 days a week, rain.
Yeah.
So,
It's tough and it's not glamorous. There's parts of my life. Everyone thinks I live this unbelievable dream.
Because they've looked at your Instagram page, which is pretty glamorous.
Yeah, and you see, and it's really funny. One of my owners called me, and I just posted a post from being away, and they were like, "You're still away?" I was like, "No, I'm sat on your horse now, riding it in the rain." And they were like, "I was in Paris for 23 hours, and I posted. I just had a lot of content, and I posted over a week, and it makes out like I have this big luxurious life, but no, I was still, like yesterday I was in the yard at 3:45 to muck out the yard before I went trail hunting. Trail hunting.
Autumn hunting.
The hounds had had the brief.
They're glorified chihuahuas, I can confirm.
In fluffy suits.
Yeah.
So I think it's not what it looks like on Instagram.
No, exactly.
Because there's lots of glamorous yards and, in the background, what's it like? And I've heard on a podcast yesterday people saying that those that work hardest in the industry get paid the least.
And I think that rings true, and I think grooms need to set precedents. But actually that's why there's a shortage of grooms and they all go freelance, because they can go and work for these elite amateurs almost.
And they'll pay because it's not the quality grooms.
And they'll pay £250 a day plus expenses and these things. So, your average groom goes away and thinks, well, I'm on £150 a week. I live in a cabin that's leaky. I have to share it with 4 other people. Why would I do that when I could go back at home, live with mum and dad, and jet off here, there, and everywhere, and live that glamorous lifestyle and reap the financial benefits of that as well? And I think, but also, the price of horses has gone up. The price of everything has gone up. So I think also, the grooms have to, set precedents for that and make the
You are only as good as the people around you.
Exactly.
But I mean, it is the case, isn't it? You can't find good grooms, is the general feedback.
No, like the best groom I ever had, I was in Germany, and I called her my work wife, Zoe. She was just unbelievable. But you actually, when you worked it out, we'd start in the morning at 5, we'd finish at 7. You spend more time together than you would with your partner.
What made her really good?
Yeah,
because she knew me inside out. For those that don't know me, I am an absolute neurotic freak perfectionist, and it's down to small things about the tap cleaning sponge being the wrong colour and things like that. But it's only because I want the day to run smoothly, and if I think, I need a hole punch, I know exactly where it is, or that horse felt fresh and I want to develop him, so could you just lunge in for 20 minutes in the morning so that when I get on him he's quiet? And she'd have done all that before I'd have even said it, because we'd been around each other for so long.
Taking the initiative a bit.
You get to that point where I don't even need to think, and she said, I'm going to lunge that in the morning because yesterday you came back, and it was her care and dedication to the horses as well. She wanted the results just as much as I wanted them, and I think, or not even the results, but the development, because we both got a kick out of seeing horses do better and get better. And I think that is so important, having someone that, even though they're your groom, shares the same desire as you to want to be better or win the big class or, sell the horse expensive at the end.
And it's nice to see when they do grooms prizes and things like that, isn't it, to involve them, because they're a big part of the show, aren't they, really?
It's an industry-wide shortage, I think, that everybody says they struggle for personnel, and I think it's valid what you're saying. These incredible people are valuing what they are able to bring and are more expensive.
But is it a short lifespan if you're working those kind of hours from, like say, 3-4 o'clock in the morning on show days, just so late at night and been away from home?
I thought anybody that I worked with in racing no longer works in racing anymore. They don't actually work with horses at all. 5 of my friends, sadly, they don't work with horses. Me being one of them. I couldn't,
because it's short-lived because of the high pressure.
Yeah, I financially and physically couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I remember one of my clients complaining to me because they had a groom that they then stopped working with because she wanted to stop work to eat her lunch. She's like, can I just go and eat my lunch? She was like, well, none of us stop to eat our lunch, we just eat a sandwich as we're moving. And I'm thinking, you can't have somebody in from that time in the morning until that time in the evening and not let them sit down and eat a sandwich for a minute.
And I think, but I would be that person, you know, I would.
No, you can't.
As in, I
working time regulation.
As in, I don't stop for lunch. Doesn't mean the girls can't, but like I don't stop because
So you
I'm a busy
expect
girl.
them to,
It's not even an expectation. Like if you know, I do always make sure that they're fed and watered regularly. But you know, I get it because I'm very self-motivated and self-driven, and I think that's important for me to make, you know, as the boss, to set precedents, but also like I don't stop, and I'm sure you also, you'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the
But if
morning.
ever I'm frustrated, George will say it's only because you're doing so much, it frustrates you not seeing other people do as much.
To the
It causes
point where,
resentment then, doesn't it?
And I'll log on my emails, and Kate's been emailing me at 2 a.m. in the morning, and 5:30 she's already messaged me, like she's the first one.
Yeah.
But if everybody's still delivering, that's fine. But I think when you're working so hard yourself and then people are not delivering, you don't expect them to be working at stupid o'clock. But if your girls have done everything they need to do and everything's organised and they go and take a break, fine.
That's fantastic, yeah. But like when you see that, when you walk through the aisle and they're Snapchatting their friend while they're mucking out and things like that, you know, or they'll come and sit in the arena while you're riding, or you know, it's like there's plenty of other things to be doing in the yard, and it's like make the time, you know, as in if everything's done, I don't care if you leave a bit early and just come back later to feed the horses if everything's worked and done. But then don't complain to me that you're still running around at 7 o'clock because
that's your efficiency.
That's your efficient, and it's an efficiency thing, and I think that's not set early enough in the training of grooms, you know.
Louie, do you think with the stuff that you've had over the years, do you think as the generations have changed, do you think their work ethic?
That's what I was going to just ask the question
I
about that.
I think work ethic has definitely changed. Like I'm still only 25, but even from when I was young, I wanted to muck out those 5 stables so I could ride that horse, or I could, you know, do those things to reap the benefit of it. Whereas now, I think people turn up, they rock up, in
all their nice gear, which I don't know how young people afford.
Yeah, and they, like me and Jen had the conversation before, you know, people aren't taught to use their common sense, you know. You know, for example, the water drinker's leaking. Yeah, well, did you go to the stopcock and turn it off?
No.
Well, no, because I don't know where that is, and you know that's not their fault. But you know, somehow use a bit of initiative and you know think about things rather than, you know, just
find solutions,
you know. And I think Georgie's definitely right. I think the work ethic has altered over the years, and I think also the courses that are provided by colleges produce those sorts of people.
So do you think there's any good top grooms out there that go on the Sunshine Tour and what have you that are the result of going to a college?
I've never met one.
No.
So if you are one of those, write in, but I've never met one. Right. To be fair, actually, Zoe did study for a short time about how to be a groom, and then she left, and then she came to me in Germany. But she landed, dropped into Germany day one.
Just the right attitude.
With the right attitude, but also not having an idea. Like, couldn't click, couldn't plait, couldn't do anything. I'm like, well, what do they teach you in these colleges? Oh, well, we can't click because Bob the Cob kicked Auntie Sue 3 years ago. And now we have to wear body protectors and hard hats to turn out. Yeah. That's not the reality of the industry.
No, there's not time for that, is
there? That's not the reality of the industry. And I think that's what's so, you know, it doesn't produce the right person. Yeah, you get your BTEC out of it, and I suppose that stands some, you know, stead if you don't want to go into horses in the future. At least you've got some source of qualification, which therefore it has a role. But those people that these courses are producing, I've never personally met one that, you know, I go, oh my God, you're now working for a top rider and you've done an amazing job from that, you know.
I think that's transferable into other work. I mean, certainly with us here, with law, I mean, some of the best people we've got have learned on the job, and some of the best solicitors that I know best family lawyer I know didn't qualify till she was 50 because she was a secretary running around doing all the groundwork, but everything she learned made her better.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas you can get people, I've employed people who are like top of the year at uni and they come out and they just can't work. They can write things down that look fancy, but they can't work.
Yeah.
So I assume it's
That's making me feel positive, Kate, anyway.
I feel, certainly I get contacted by, loads of kids that want to come on work experience, or they I want to train to do therapy on horses, and what advice have you got? Or they've just graduated and they want to come and do some work experience. And I'll say, so what is your industry experience? Have you worked in a yard or whatever? And if they haven't, said the absolute best thing that you will do to help your practice or help your career is go and work in as many different industries as you can. Even if you did yard work for 2 weeks at a time in a showing yard, a racing yard, a dressage yard, a show jumping yard, because you would learn so much from just watching and listening and seeing,
little tips that you can transfer into
how horses are kept, how they are fed, when they are fed. Are they fed from the floor? Are they fed from a door major?
Yeah.
Do they have hay on the floor? Do they have hay in very small hay nets? How are they tacked up? How regularly are they exercised? All of which would then, when you are turning up to treat a client's horse and you know that they've got a, whatever it is, like a show jumper, you can kind of know from experience it's likely to have been trained like this, fed like this, groomed like this, blah 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 blah, which ultimately would make your practice so much better. So I think there, certainly from my experience, the more different environments you can put yourself in, the more you can learn something from everyone.
Do you think going to Europe's a big thing as well, because they do things generally better?
I think you just have to fully submerge yourself if you want to get into this industry. I left home the first time at 15.
Wow.
Not
sure that's legal, but
did you get
permission for that from your parents?
I did.
I've just got an image of him with like a comb in his backpack.
We bought
sunglasses on.
Hijacked a Lamborghini. I went to buy a horse, and the woman just offered me a summer job, and I was there for 6 weeks. Then I went back, I did my A-levels, and then I went away again went to work for one of the Whitakers, and then I moved on to another job, and then I came home, had a little break from horses. Then I went to Germany, and it was always very important for me to go to Germany because I just
wanted to speak German.
Yeah. That good. I should have thought I should. I just feel like the German standard of riding fitted my natural mindset and natural how I wanted to produce horses, and I think it's very important to follow your own path a bit and try all these different things and find out new things. And I think in Europe the standard and the system is so different. In Europe you have to do a theory and a practical test before you're allowed to ride at a show.
Wow. How many people would pass that?
And that's what it's basic horse management. And, if you want to jump 90 centimetres, it's, that's the test. If you want to jump a metre, that's a different test. And it's every time you want to go up a level, your management and your care of the horse also has to go up, which I find fascinating. And I find it fascinating. And everybody goes, look at the pony Europeans, for example, and the German ponies, they come in, they're soft in the bridle, the kids are doing sit and trot, flex them a bit left, flex them a bit right, and then they go and jump this unbelievable, beautiful, almost equitation style clear round, and they go, yeah, but that's because they're on better ponies. No, it's because the horses and everything is based off correct riding and
from the
very beginning.
Yeah.
Whereas in England you plonk down a horse, I bet your 12-2 used to go in a standard martingale and a Kimble wick, and it used to fire through the corner, and
it's a bit silly. Thinking of in the pig that used to go this huge bit on.
and that is, it was a hold on and jump the fastest clear round rather than, and it's bringing it back to young horses. That's how they've built their system to produce time and time again European medals, Olympic medals.
I'm schooling the 12-2s for Storm when I get home.
Starts Googling classical dressage. So going forwards, I know you shared loads of info about your career today. Have you got anything that you are looking forward to, or anything you're aspiring to, or any goals that you've got kind of coming forward?
I think personal goals, I would love to win a medal at the Young Horse Championships that we've just had at Lanarkshire recently, and so I have a few exciting horses that I have in the pipeline for next year that I think, they would give me the opportunity to be able to do that. And I think personal goals is just to grow a little bit bigger,
not have to hijack the Lamborghini.
Not have to hijack the Lamborghini.
There we go.
And just grow the stable a little bit bigger, maybe actually have some dressage horses in, and I get a dressage rider, and just diversify the business into other sectors. And
do you find that most of your business comes just through word of mouth?
Yeah, because I'm horrendous with PR and social media. So
unless it's himself.
Exactly. Unless he's in Paris.
And I think it's just very important to be seen nowadays. To be seen to be doing the right things, making the right choices, and seen at the shows to be respectful, to be people, and it's that sounds like common sense, but the amount of people you see that they hit it too many times in the warm up, or
Imagine Sue with her horses. So you can't smack a horse in front of her. But that's a good point. I know, like, my mum's always owned horses and sent them away, and I think one of her frustrations is it's not going to any shows, and I'm paying for it. I want to go and watch it.
And this is a massive problem I face with my owners, because I savour those 1.5 minutes in the ring to be exactly how I want it to be, and I have a current owner, and he sends me a horse, and within 4 days of you taking it to a show, when to go to a show,
bad, but I mean,
and get it to a show, it needs to be doing this, it needs to be doing that, and I'm like, it's 4 years old and it can't even canter a circle, and a lot of people that know me will be familiar with Baby Jesus. And when I
who is a horse? Who
is a horse?
Okay.
Who is a horse that she's. How would you best describe Baby Jesus?
She's a
girl. Why is she called Baby Jesus?
Why is she called Baby?
Because when she goes over a jump, you go, wow, Jesus Christ.
There we go.
So
you
go.
So
then it was, and she's only a baby, so then it became Baby Jesus.
That's really good.
She is unbelievable. She's not like normal horses.
She's unbelievable, but she's not like a normal horse. The average Joe would struggle to get on her, let alone ride her. And I think it's so important, to take your time with those horses. She jumped her first show in March, and she was double clear and third in the 5-year-old Grand Prix at the International at Bolesworth, and that was with 3 shows in between, and that was more of a testament to my system to make sure that the horse is right for that time, rather than show and it not work out. And I think that's everybody gets wrapped up with.
Especially now your record, it's not like 20 years ago.
Well, everyone just becomes besotted by show after show and record after record, and I prefer to jump 1 show a month and it go well than 3 shows, and you find the teething. I'd rather find the teething problems at home in training than in the course, and you go to a show and I think I need to change the bit and this, that, and the other. That drives me insane. I like to go to a show with a plan and execute it to the best of my ability. I suppose it is your shop
window, isn't it?
Exactly.
And what are your views on shows? Because I know, around here we've lost a lot of nice shows. What are your views on whether you're better to go to one really good show every month, or stay away, or do you think, what are your views on shows? Because that's a topic in itself.
I really feel sorry for show venues, because they try their best and nothing is ever enough. However, I say that in the same side that there's nothing for the people to want to give back to, you know, and there's nothing to encourage people to invest in the sport and to grow the sport and put some money into a local show centre to grow it. It's like the show centre's prerogative for you to come there and to spend, to use their facilities, but actually it's also the community's prerogative to have something that, you have a lovely local show centre. Where I am, I'm lucky. I've Kelsall Hill, I've Southview, and they're consistent and they're reliable and they have the same, and I think that's something to be thankful for, because actually, there's a lot of show centres that are closing, and you have to, so to have nice shows on the doorstep is a good thing, and that's.
Quickly, just to wheel back, I know that you've talked a lot about having owners, but
if you ask about an owner story, I'm not sure that's appropriate.
If, say I'm a young person, I've ridden a bit, I'm looking to make this more of a career for myself. What advice would you have for someone like me on how to find owners or how to nurture owners, or like how would you approach, because it's easy to, because obviously you have a platform and a reputation that helps you to find them, but what advice would you have for somebody on how to get owners?
I think you have to network and socialise, and don't be afraid to reach out to people. You know, so when I was struggling to source and find horses, there was one of my current owners is Richard Harley and Morgan Kent of HK Horses, and they're one of the biggest suppliers to me of young horses to produce. And, you know, you see Richard and you see Morgan at the show, and, you know, it's, for someone that feels like small fry, it can be quite intimidating, you know, that he's riding the big sport and, you know, Morgan's managing the whole operation. But it's so nice that I could approach them and say, actually, this is my situation. Would you like to do a bit of business together? And now, a few months down the line, you know, we've sold multiple horses. It was their horse I rode at Burley, you know, I've sold...
Because you're an eventer.
Because I'm an eventer. You know, I sold one horse of theirs to an Olympic eventer in Italy, you know, and hopefully we're going to see him on a team one day. And, you know, don't be afraid to reach out, because the worst people can say is no.
Put yourself out there. Don't be offended when people do say no.
Because you see, like, a lot of 19-year-olds now that they work for 6 months at Top Rider, they've come back and they're all inspired. They have no big business ethic, they've no work ethic, and they don't really know how they're going to make it work. And I think at that point you should probably reevaluate starting to try your own thing, maybe grow some experience, because if I had horses and wanted to invest, would I find a 19-year-old approachable starting up? Probably not, you know. And I think it's also how you conduct yourself in such a way that you feel safe enough to give your horse and
which
your money.
A big thing for people.
You know, it is a massive thing for people. You know, do I trust you? Because that's where it starts and that's where it stops. The second the trust is broken, the relationship, even just business, is over, and that's a lead that's now dead for you. So you've got to then go and find another one.
Word spreads a lot quicker than
and 100%. You know?
So finding like an example, so be able to demonstrate you've done it before, prove that you've got some business acumen and insurance. Insurance obviously would, like, so if you were to put yourself in a situation where you could stand in front of an owner and you could be like, look, this is what I've done before, I've got this in place, this is my insurance, I can do this for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So rather than being like, I want a horse I want you to send me a horse, well, like, I can
and have having the right people around you that are helping you as well.
You know, have the right trainer, have the right vet, have the right physio, bodywork specialist.
You almost called me a horse bender then, didn't you?
I did.
That might be a different one as well.
That might get us cancelled. But, you know, to offer the best, because people don't want second rate, you know, and you have to prove that you can offer a service that people need. There's thousands and thousands of riders, and I had this when I was in Germany, and it was a hard lesson, but it was a very good lesson. I got kicked in the head by a horse, and I was...
Did you not have a hat on? Was there not a health and safety risk assessment undertaken before that issue?
I did have a hat on. I did have a hat on because I just dismounted from riding. And it was very much the stable I was at. It's a factory. There's loads of horses, loads of riders. And it was like, there's a broken part of the conveyor belt. We need to fix it.
Yeah.
So my horses went to different riders. And I came back and there was me, Zoe, and an empty barn of horses. And it was like, well, those horses that I've just been working so hard on,
someone's training
now someone's got them. And like everything I've just done and worked so hard for, I've got none of that now. And I think that was like, oh, so I'm that replaceable. Yeah. You know, you build yourself up into like, no one, like, I'm doing a good job, so they're going to be loyal to me. No, it's a business.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're not pulling your weight, don't be afraid when someone takes the horse off you because you haven't delivered, or you know, there's deadlines and there's this, you know, so I think it's very important not to put yourself on a pedestal because you're so quickly taken off it.
That's really important, actually, if we think back to help people understand the mindset that you've reached and the accountability that you have with your business. Of course you're going to work every hour of the day. You've got absolute attention to detail. You're trying to provide the absolute best services possible.
100%.
Because you've tried working as part of a machine, sure that you were so easily replaced. And so you've taken
It's a
all of those
dangerous place
skills
to be,
that
yeah.
you've learnt, and you're applying them to your own business.
Yeah.
So if everyone else around you sees that you are like fastidious, like almost you joked about being neurotic and liking it exactly the way that you like it.
I don't think he joked. I think he was.
You know, if you understand what you've been through to help you to get to that mindset, I think that helps the people around you to understand that.
Yeah, you have to go in this industry. You have to go to hell and back to appreciate how.